Good morning, geometry students. Welcome to class on Thursday the 5th. Let's go ahead and get started with some announcements. Remember, I do go fast, guys, and today I feel a little bit of pressure to go probably a little faster than usual. We have a lot to cover, plus I want to give you time to work on your homework, and I want to really make sure that we go over what's on your quiz tomorrow. So remember, it's not a mean thing. It's if I'm going really slow, it's boring, but if I go really fast, then those that are getting the math can continue on, and those that need a little more time can pause or rewind the video. And that's why I do that, okay? It's not to be rushed, and it's not to be rude or mean, okay? Let's quickly take a look at some announcements here. Here we go. Announcement number 1. You have a quiz tomorrow. Please make sure you're ready for that. Please study for that. I will be going over what's on that quiz in just a couple minutes here. So, quiz tomorrow, please study, be ready for that. Turn in last night's homework now, please. You did not have to finish it. But if you did, that's great. Give yourself a couple bonus points, but you did not have to finish it, but you do have to turn it in. So, turn in what you did, and you will get an automatic 100. Tonight, you will have homework, and you will have to study for a quiz. Both of those, okay? So please make sure that you understand that and you're ready for that, okay? All right. Now let's go over what will be on the quiz tomorrow. Are you ready? I'm going to go fast, and you can always watch this video tonight at home when you want to study more for your quiz, okay? I'm just trying to get everything up here. All right. Here we go. The definition of midpoint. It'll be a fill in the blank. That will be on your quiz. Let me grab a quick little drink of water here. Okay, segment bisector, that definition will be on your quiz, fill in the blank. Angle bisector, that will be on your quiz, fill in the blank. Now, here, these two homework assignments right here are from Monday, and I believe, let's see, 2.1 and 2.2, Monday and Tuesday, and then I'm trying to think. Okay, I had to think there for a second. This is from Tuesday. There was no school on Monday. This assignment here is from Wednesday. And now today, Thursday, you will also have some work. So do you notice this? Any problems on these two homework assignments are fair game. So look those over. Know how to work the problems on those two assignments. Please, please. And then any notes given in class today and any homework given to do tonight, all of that is fair game on the quiz. And as we go through your notes today, I will point out definitions and things that will be on the quiz, and I'll say, hey, this is one of the things that will be on the quiz tomorrow. I will do that to help you, okay? And I will not miss any. I'll make sure that you know that, okay? Let's continue on. We are looking today at something you had in middle school. It is not difficult. Complementary and supplementary angles. The lesson number is 2.3, and the date today, if you'd like to keep track of that, is the 5th, September 5th, okay? We are looking today at complementary and supplementary angles. Please copy this definition in your notes. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum, that means when you add them together, is 90 degrees. Now, this will be on your quiz. This will be a fill in the blank on your quiz. Make note of that. Now, if I told you I had one angle, we'll call it angle A, has a measurement of 50 degrees, and angle B has a measurement of 40 degrees. Those two angles are supplementary because if you add those two angles together, you get 90. That's all that supplementary means. I apologize. I used the wrong word there. That's what complementary means, and I hope I've not confused it. I'll put these back up here. When the two angles add up to 90, they are called complementary angles. So these two angles are complementary. Now, if I have a right angle like this, right angle symbol, and then a ray going up, and we know this is 32 degrees, and this is 58 degrees, like this. Those two angles are complementary because if you add them together, you get 90. All right? Okay, let's continue on. This definition will also be on your quiz, so make note of that. Supplementary angles are when you have two angles whose sum is 180. When you add these two angles together, they equal 180. For example, and again, what you take notes on here is your business. I would write all of this down plus my examples, but you don't have to. If I said the measure of angle 1 equaled 120 degrees, and the measure of angle 2 equaled 60 degrees. If you add those two together, you get 180. So we would say these two angles are supplementary. All right? Okay, let's continue on. Now, you know what I need to have? I don't have my book with me. I apologize. This is one of the examples in the book. Okay, went and grabbed my book. Sorry about that, students. I'm usually better prepared than this. Okay, in your notes, I would write page number 67, example 1. So page 67, E1. And you can turn in your books if you want to. You don't have to. I've got it right here on the screen in front of you. But if you'll write this down, then in your notes, you'll know where these problems came from. Now, we're going to look at example A, B, and C, and we're going to say whether it's complementary, supplementary, or neither. Now, as I look at these two angles, one is 22 degrees and one is 158. Well, if you add these two together, you do get 180. So if you get 180, then these two angles here are supplementary. Now let's look at angle B. We have problem number B. We have an angle that measures 15 degrees and an angle that measures 85. If you add those together, you get a 100. Well, that's not complementary and that's not supplementary. It either has to be 90 or 180. So this would be neither. Now, if we take this angle here, 55 degrees in problem C and 35 degrees, if you add those two together, you do get 90. So because we get 90, we say those two angles are complementary. Okay, not too hard. Let's continue on. Can you quickly jot this in your notes? If I said angle A is a complement of angle C, now what that means, if they're a complement, that means when you add them together, they equal 90 degrees. And angle A, the measure of angle A is 47 degrees, then find the measure of angle C. Well, that's pretty easy, guys. We know they're complementary, so we know they have to add up to 90. So we take 90 and we subtract out 47 degrees, which was angle A, and we're left with 43 degrees. So we know the measure of angle C has to be 43 degrees. And that makes sense. If you add 47 and 43 together, you get 90, and it says these two angles are complementary, or A is a complement of C. Same thing. Now go ahead and jot this problem in your notes. P is a supplement of R. P is a supplement of R. Now, that means they're supplementary, thus it means they're going to add up to 180 degrees. Now I know angle R is 36 degrees, so if I subtract that from 180, I'll get 144. And so now I know the measure of angle P has to be 144 degrees. And that makes sense. If I take 36 degrees and 144 degrees and add them together, I will get 180. And that's right, because P is a supplement of R. So they're supposed to add up to 180. Now, I would like you to work on some bonus points. Notice B is a complement of D, and here's the angle, find B. Notice B is a supplement of D. Angle D is 115, find angle B. So one bonus point for this problem, one bonus point for this problem. Go ahead and pause the video now, work this out, and when you're done, turn it back on and see if you did them correctly. Okay, hope you did well on these two problems. Angle B is a complement of D. That means we know B and D have to add up to 90 because of the word complement. So I'm going to take 90 degrees, and I'm going to subtract out 79 degrees. And that will give me 11 degrees. So I know the measure of angle B has to be 11 degrees. If you add 79 and 11, you would get 90. All right. Now, B is a supplement of D, so we know when you add B and D together, you'll get 180 degrees. We know one of the angles is 115, so let's go ahead and subtract that out. And when you do, you should get 65 degrees. So we know the measure of angle B has to be 65 degrees, and that makes sense. If you take 115 and 65 degrees and add those two together, you will get 180 degrees. Okay, let's continue on. I want to continue on now and look at another term. Okay, you need to know this. This will be on the quiz tomorrow. Fill in the blank. Adjacent angles. Now this sounds confusing, but I'm going to give you picture examples to clarify it. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common vertex and a common side. But what they don't share would be interior points. They do not share interior points. Let me show you what adjacent angles are. It's so easy, students. Here we go. All right. Now, if you'll look here, go ahead and draw this in your notes if you would, please. We're going to call this, we'll just call this angle 1 to make it easier, and angle 2. Do you notice how angle 1 and angle 2 are side by side? Sure. And do you see how they have a common vertex? Angle 1 goes like this. Watch carefully, students. Angle 1 comes down and goes up like that, and there's the vertex. Angle 2 comes down like this and has the same vertex. Now, do you notice how they both share a side? Sure you do. Pretty easy. So angles 1 and 2 share a common vertex, they share a common side, but they do not share interior points. Here's the interior points of angle 1, here's the interior points of angle 2, and notice they don't cross or intersect, okay? So if you want a nice, easy kind of slang way to say this and just easy kind of basic terminology, adjacent angles are two angles that are side by side, that are touching like this. They're sharing one side, okay? So that's what adjacent angles are. So with that in mind, let me draw something here. Now, if I drew a line like this and a line like this, you don't have to write this down, just kind of watch. We're going to call this angle 1, this angle 2, this angle 3, and this angle 4. Angles 1 and 3 are not adjacent. They're not side by side. They're not sharing a side. But angles 1 and 2 are adjacent. Angles 2 and 3 are adjacent. Angles 3 and 4 are adjacent. And angles 1 and 4 are adjacent. But angles 1 and 3, they're not adjacent. Angles 2 and 4, they're not adjacent. We call those vertical angles, and we'll get into that later. You've had it in the past also. But that's what adjacent angles that's the definition of adjacent angles. So please make sure you understand that, okay? It's very important. Okay, I want you to go ahead and write in your notes, if you would, so you know exactly where this is coming from. I would like you to write down page 68, please. Page 68, and then write down E2 for example number 2. Now, what they want us to do in this example is tell whether the angles are adjacent or non-adjacent. Now, let's start with letter A here. These angles would be non-adjacent, and hopefully you knew that. And let me explain why, okay? They have to share, yes, they're side by side, but they have to share a common vertex. They don't even do that. Here's one vertex, here's the other vertex. They also have to share a common side. Well, they don't even do that. So there's no way that these two angles are adjacent. Now we come over here. This is perfect. Look at angles 3 and 4. They're side by side. They're sharing the same vertex. They're sharing the same side. So yes, these two angles are adjacent. Now, angle 5 goes like this and this. Angle 6 goes like, and I'll change the colors here to blue, angle 6 goes like this. Those two angles do share a common vertex, but they do not share a common side. They don't. Here's the two sides for 5 in red. Here's the two sides for angle 6 in blue. They don't share a common side, so they are not adjacent angles. Now, if I had angle 3 right here, then I could say angles 5 and 3 are adjacent, or I could say angles 3 and 6 are adjacent. Okay? Hopefully you're getting that all right. Now, we need to continue on here. Before we do, I think it'd be really important. Just give me like 10 seconds to review. Sorry about that. Hold on one second. Complementary angles, two angles add up to 90. Supplementary angles, two angles that add up to 180. Adjacent angles, two angles that share a common vertex and a common side but don't share interior points. These would not be adjacent. 5 and 6 would not be adjacent. 3 and 4 are adjacent. All right, now let's continue on. For the rest of the school year now, and you're probably not going to like this. A lot of students really have a strong dislike for theorems, okay? But we're now getting into theorems. I want you to write down what a theorem is. This is a pretty interesting definition. I've never heard it worded like this, but we're going to go with what the book says. A theorem is a true statement that follows from other true statements. This will be on your quiz tomorrow. This will be on your quiz tomorrow. Fill in the blank. What is a theorem? It is a true statement that follows from other true statements. Okay? All right. Now, I want to give you theorem 2.1. I know you're just really loving this, and yes, I'm being sarcastic. This will be on your quiz tomorrow. Fill in the blank. You're going to have to learn these guys. If you think my class is hard, please trust me. I can guarantee you the tests and quizzes in this class are nothing like the other class. I'm giving you the basic definitions, the basic theorems, the basic postulates that any teacher would want you to know. And a lot of teachers have students write out the whole thing. I do fill in the blanks, and I try to keep it pretty much keywords, okay? Theorem 2.1 states. Now listen, you might not understand this, but I'm going to give you a picture of it in just a second. Okay, here we go. If two angles are complementary to the same angle, then those two angles are congruent. If two angles are complementary to the same angle, then those two angles are congruent. Let me give you a picture of this, okay? Would you please write this in your notes? I want you to draw an angle like this, and we're going to call that 30 degrees. Then draw another angle that's not quite 90, bigger than 30, and we're going to call that 60. Then come over here and draw another 30-degree angle. Okay, go ahead and do that. Now let me prove to you what this theorem is saying. Watch carefully. Do you notice that 30 and 60 are complementary? You should. 30 plus 60 is 90. And do you notice that 30 and 60 here is complementary? We're going to call this angle A, we're going to call this angle B, and we're going to call this angle C. Are you with me so far? Angles A and B, let's write this down. Write this down, please, in your notes. Angles A and B are, my computer's freezing up, guys, sorry about that, are complementary. And then write angles B and C are complementary. Do you see that? Now it says if two angles are complementary to the same angle, and they are, A is complementary to B and C is complementary to B, then those two angles are congruent. So A and B are complementary, B and C are complementary. Notice how C is complementary with B, A is complementary with B, A and C are both complementary to the same angle, so thus we know that angle A is congruent to angle C. Now to me that's common sense. That just makes sense. Okay? I mean, if it's 30 plus 60 and 30 plus 60, then these two angles right here, A and C, have to be complementary. They have to be. Okay? And if I go too fast, you just back it up. I'm going to throw something else up here at you just to kind of think about. You can just watch this if you want to. I mean, think about it, guys. If I had angle 50 and it was complementary to this angle here that's 40, then over here, angle 50, think about it. I mean, 50 and 40 are going to be complementary. 50 and 40 are going to be complementary. So this angle is complementary to this angle. This angle is complementary to this angle. They're complementary to the same angle. They're both complementary to 40. So these two angles here have to be congruent. They have to be congruent. And that's what this theorem is stating. All right, theorem 2.2. If two angles are supplementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. The same thing, guys. Watch. If I have an angle here that's 100 and an angle here that's 80. Write this down if you want to. If you don't need to, that's fine. And then over here, an angle that measures 100. Now this is so obvious, guys. Here's what the theorem is stating. Okay, these two angles here are supplementary. We know that because they add up to 180. These two angles here are supplementary. We know that because they add up to 180. Do you see how they're supplementary to the same angle? This angle is supplementary to this angle. This angle is supplementary to this angle. So these two outside angles are supplementary to the same angle. Thus, these two outside angles have to be congruent. And they are. They're both 100. That's all that theorem is stating. A little confusing, kind of a little redundant. I mean, to me, it's just like, it's kind of like the duh factor. You know, it's really obvious, but that's geometry. They really take nothing for granted, and they try to prove and state everything. All right, now here's your homework. Okay, now I know it looks long. It's just 16 problems. I just spread it out. Here's 5 here, 3 here, 3 here, 2 here, and 3 here. Okay, but it's a total of 16 problems. Have this done by tomorrow. It is due by tomorrow. We will start class off with a quiz. Please study all of the material I told you. plus all of these problems here are fair game for your quiz, plus all the stuff in this notes today that I gave you, I told you would be on your quiz. And by the way, did I mention, I hope I did, I mentioned this theorem. This theorem right here is also on your quiz, okay? Fill in the blanks. I'm sorry I didn't mention that, but definitely. And then all of these problems here. So you have 3 homework assignments to study, plus all the fill in the blanks, okay? Hope you have a great day. Please get started on your homework right away. You can look it up on your website there and watch this and get some help if you need to.